Okay, the first item on our agenda is the consent agenda. And the consent agenda is a means of expediting routine matters which come before the commission for approval. The consent portion of the agenda is approved by one non-debatable motion. If any commissioner wishes to remove an item from the consent portion of the agenda, that item becomes the first order of business on the regular agenda.
So, Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we pull from the consent agenda item number G, the consideration of agreement between Washington County and CRSA Architects for a county administrator building program feasibility study.
Does that item need a second, or?
I don't.
Just
I
go
don't know
ahead.
that does. We just maybe
Okay.
read the items that would be on it.
So you
Okay.
can include that, so your motion would be to approve the consent agenda
With the
with
exception.
pulling that
Okay.
one off.
And then,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt the consent agenda, item A, consideration of auditor-approved claims for payments for June 3rd, 2015 through June 16th, 2015. B, consideration of regular commission meetings of April 7th, 2015, April 21st, 2015, and May 5th, 2015. C, consideration of administrative adjustment, personal property. D, consideration of application for property abatement with the exception of item number 03195510. E, consideration of application for settlement or deferral of property tax. F, consideration of amendment 3 to agreement 68-8D43-14-08 between NRCS and Washington County for the rehabilitation of the Frog Hollow Debris Basin and Ivans Dams. And G will become our first item of business.
so I go ahead and second that?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Okay, our first item then would be the agreement between Washington County and CRSA Architecture for a county administration building program and feasibility study.
So why I pulled this, I just want to discuss it just a little bit. This was previously on the calendar and we tabled it. Just to get some clarification on the bid that came back. There was a proposed resolution when we tabled it before that wasn't in that, so I wanted to pull it so we could read that. So with that, I want to adopt the resolution and accept the proposal with also a condition that the county attorney's office approves the AIA contract that the architect will use. So if there's no question about that, I'll go ahead and make the motion.
Okay,
Okay, so my motion is that we accept resolution number R-2015-1904, a resolution approving the executive execution of an agreement between CRSA Inc. and Washington County to perform an architectural services for a program and feasibility study considering the construction of a new county administration building with that the county attorney's office approves the final AIA contract.
I'll second that.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Okay, our next item would be Roxy Sherwin from Travel Council, and I think you wanted the sheriff up here. If you want to come up.
Just while those guys are coming up, I don't know that resolution that was just approved was in the packet. The item was on the agenda, but copies of that resolution can be obtained from Nicole, from anybody in the public that would like that.
Thanks.
And you,
Daryl?
Daryl, come up.
Just slower.
Yeah,
If there's money, Daryl comes.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's money. So this year at our Ironman event, we printed new street pole banners, the big banners that are all up and down the boulevard and Love Street. And also in Hurricane and Springdale, Washington. We had the other banners for 5 years, and they were kind of a keepsake. Like sometimes people cut them down off the banners and took them home without my permission. So we knew that they were pretty valuable. So when we got new ones, we decided we would sell the old ones. And so we had, probably, I don't know, 150 or so banners that we sold for $10 each, with the proceeds to be donated to Washington County Search and Rescue. So this is a little check. It's not a great big one, but for $2,000 for Washington County Search and Rescue.
Thank you.
And all of the people that bought banners thought it was a great idea. They really felt good about supporting that group, and so did we.
So that we'll turn that into some good equipment for search and rescue to help them out, and certainly
Good.
they will appreciate it. Thank you.
Good.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Roxy.
you.
Thanks, Roxy.
You must have stepped in.
I can't do that.
Okay, while you're there, we have the emergency services report for whichever one of you is going to give that.
Daryl's gonna give the report, and does a much better job of that.
Afternoon, Commissioners. I guess it's been since April 21st since we've done a report, so it's a little bit long if you haven't watched the news. This goes through last night at midnight, and we did have one last night. So there were 19 call-outs in that period of time, and we had the volunteers donated 614 and a half hours for these call-outs. So I'm going to start back April 24th. There was an injured mountain biker on the Prospector Trail. I don't know if you know where that is. It's along I-15 to the west side of it, around mile marker 15. The biker was going along the trail. He wrecked and went off his bike. He called for help, and Washington Fire Department, Hurricane EMS, and our search and rescue all responded to the scene. We staged up at I-15 on mile marker 15 and a half. We did cut through the fence, sorry, but we cut through the fence and I had to have it fixed. We hiked a third of a mile, which was line of sight, and we treated him medically. We carried him out all the way back to the ambulance, and he was transported. He apparently, we think he broke his leg or his hip. On the 24th, that same day, by the way, at 7:24, we had lost hikers out in Warner Valley. So 2 hikers became lost on a mesa above the dinosaur tracks. Search and rescue responded along with a county deputy. They located the subject's vehicle at the trailhead and apparently saw some lights up on the mesa up there, and that's where the subjects were. They went up, got them, led them off. They were not injured in any way. Again, that same day, a couple hours later, at 9:37, we had a lost mountain biker on Guacamole Trail up in the Virgin area. His GPS happened to ping just outside Zion National Park, so we responded. It was raining quite heavy. Apparently he'd lost the trail in the rain, and he just sheltered up under an outcropping. We got up there, we located him along with a BLM officer that was assisting, and we got him and his bike out, got him back to his vehicle. And no one needed any help on that one. Let's see, on May 1st, we had an injured hiker at Snow Canyon State Park. A mountain biker, sorry, I just got off on this. Actually, a person fell approximately, I believe that one was 100 feet, and they needed some help. When they actually got there, they carried him out and put him on life flight, but apparently the individual was not that severely hurt. It just took SAR carrying him out and then getting him to the helicopter.
So he kind of bounced down the cliff.
Yeah, it was more of a bounce. On the 2nd, we actually did all the water support for Ironman. You know that we do that every year, our dive in swift water and stuff. And we had 2,300 participants that went into the water. Our search and rescue pulled out 13 people that were unable to finish. So I thought that was pretty good odds for however many went in. And no one actually needed any medical. It was more just cramping and cold, so that worked out well. On the 5th, we had 4 lost hikers in the Colop Fingers area. The hikers were lost, wet and cold. They had started their hike from East Zion earlier in the day. All their gear was wet, so SAR responded to Lee's Pass Trailhead, which honestly, I don't know exactly where that is. I've not had a chance to hike that yet. But the SAR teams arrived, were broke up in teams and went out looking for them. It was in the middle of the night. And by the time they found them, I guess they got home about 4 in the morning, but they did find the hikers, got them out to their vehicles, and they were just cold and wet. Again, on the 6th of May, we had another injured hiker at Snow Canyon. Basically, they were just on a trail and they slipped and needed some help getting out. I guess they hurt their ankle or something like that. Not sure. That I didn't have a lot of information on that one. I was kind of out of the scene on these.
Yeah, you had another Ironman incident.
I was trying to avoid that. Yes, I did. So I had a little limited information on these few right after Ironman. Yeah, I left Ironman again after it was over. Made sure my job was done. So. Then we had a lost biker on Gooseberry Mesa, which was on the 12th of May, and he got lost on a trail. It became dark, and so search and rescue deputies and the BLM went in and searched for him. They located him and brought him back to the IC. Again, there was no medical needed on that. He was released. On the 18th, we had a vehicle that went into Quail Creek. I'm sure most of you heard about it. Search and rescue responded to a report of a vehicle that went into Quail Creek. The SAR dive team searched the area indicated by the evidence in the trail of broken glass going in. They located the vehicle in 30 feet of water on its top, so it had flipped over. They did verify that there was someone in it, and so they did their underwater investigation. They used two 2,200-pound lift bags and lifted the vehicle, and then they had the park rangers drag it back to the main dock. We flipped it over and then turned over the scene to Hurricane at that point, once we got it out of the water. Let's see, on the 18th, I know these are long, it's been a long time, but on the 18th of May, we had missing juvenile out of Olympus Academy. Do you know where that is? Out there on 59, off of 59. Apparently he took off, his 14-year-old, ran away in the middle of the night. And he was suspected he was in the desert or down a ravine area trying to make it toward Hurricane. So deputies were searching, facility members were searching, and then they asked search and rescue to help just based on the fact that he was a 14-year-old and he's possibly in danger. So they searched the area till almost 6 o'clock, and they found some tracks, followed them, but then they disappeared. And at that time, it was decided to call off the search. Figured he'd probably made it to Hurricane. So they did call off the search. I did find out he was located a couple days later, and he had made it out of the area. So on the 19th, the Lost Hikers Red Mountain. SAR responded to hikers needing water on the Red Mountain area. They were elderly. They'd been hiking up there on top of in the wilderness area of Red Mountain. Became a little disoriented, ran out of water, and so we used both air assets, which was Life Flight, and ATVs. We asked Life Flight to fly a couple of our guys in to get close to them so they could get them help quicker. Life Flight was generous enough to do that for us. So they got to the couple. They actually walked them back to ATVs and then drove them out, and they were fine. They weren't transported to the hospital. We had a medical assist on a hiker on Chuckawalla Trail, which search and rescue was contacted concerning a hiker way in the back that was acting incoherent and needed help. So search and rescue, St. George Fire and Gold Cross EMS responded. I actually went in with St. George Fire and EMS. We located him about a half a mile down the trail, and he was evaluated and taken to the ambulance and transported to RMC, probably due to dehydration. On the 28th of May, we had hikers out of water in the Mataqua area. Search and rescue responded to a father and son hiking in the West Desert near Mataqua. Apparently, the wife had dropped them off at the Nevada border, and they were going to hike back in from the Nevada border across country. And they got off the road. The father twisted his knee, and they ran out of water, so he was giving water to the son, and they called for help. So we went out there. We located them up on a ridge line, and while we were on that one, we got a second one, which is the next one in the list, that we had a report of a FedEx driver that got their vehicle stuck out there, and the driver had walked about 1 to 2 miles to get help and now was out of water and needed help. Both these came in 20 minutes apart. So I diverted part of search and rescue and some deputies to go find the FedEx driver while we're working on the other one. But we did get to the father and son, put them in my vehicle, made sure they were hydrated, The other part of the SAR units and the deputies located the truck, the FedEx truck that was stuck in the sand on Indian Springs. And they were heading up the road looking for the driver, and they ran into a FedEx van who was out there looking for her and had just picked her up. So she was fine also. So that was 2 of them in one. I took the father and son home. On the 30th, we did water support again for the Sand Hollow Tri. There were about 600 participants went in the water. We pulled out 3 due to exhaustion, and none of them were transported to the hospital. On the 3rd of June, we had some lost subjects in Warner Valley. Search and rescue responded to them. They were apparently stuck. They got their UTV stuck on the side of a hill. It was down the wash off of Washington Dam Road out toward Warner Valley. And they called for help. So search and rescue went out, they located them, helped them get the UTV off the hill, and then followed them back to the main road, made sure that they were okay to get out. I'm almost done, I'm getting there. On the 7th of this month, search and rescue responded to lost hiker on Red Mountain. The hiker had texted her husband, she was running it from Dameron Valley to Ivans, and she texted her husband, said that she was lost. She lost the trail, had no idea where she was at. So he got a GPS, he pinged her phone from his and got a GPS and called us. We sent in ATVs from the Dameron Valley side, and they did locate her just after dark, worked their way back out. Took a little longer than usual. A couple of ATVs had some issues, but they did get them back out. But she was not taken to the hospital or anything. She was fine. I just kind of giggle about that because usually on all these searches, something's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
You kind of have to plan for it. And then on the 8th, search and rescue was contacted to assist deputies on a personal injury accident in Tuckerville Falls to help recover a victim. And so they headed out to that, climbed down and got the victim back up to the roadway, and then they cleared out and left it for law enforcement to deal with the rest of it. And then last night, we got called out again at Quail Creek. There was a drowning out there. So our dive team responded to the drowning. They started searching the area with side scan sonar, and then they put 2 teams in the water. They located the victim. He was approximately in 8 feet of water, 15 feet from shore. And they did an underwater investigation on him and then recovered the body and turned him over to state parks because they're the lead agency on it. And that should about do us for this period.
So you had 3 fatalities in
Yes,
all of that. Wow.
it's been a little bit busy, but appreciate all your support and help though. It's been good.
Well, we appreciate everything that your group's doing on that, and I guess if there's one word I heard while you were talking is, especially this time of year, if you're going to be out, take some water with you.
Plenty of it.
Plenty of it.
Yes, plenty of it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate you.
Okay, Mark Blanche. Got some purchases to do here, huh?
Yep. We actually had 2 of them listed for St. George Convention and Tourism Office. One of them we need to table. The one for the street lighting in Springdale. We will table that till the next commission meeting, so we just have one to get approved. And that is the one for the pro athlete appearance fees for the World Triathlon. And that one is for $17,520, and that is a budgeted item for the St. George Convention and Tourism Office. So
Okay.
that's the only one.
So we need a motion?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the purchase request items as outlined by Mark Blanche.
I will second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, item 4, presentation of 2015 Washington County tax sale. Kim Hafen, our clerk auditor.
I think you have in your packets the results of the 2015 tax sale. We had 10 items that were not redeemed prior to the sale, and you can see the results there. There's one The fourth item down, tax sale number 21, it was purchased in a tax sale by Carrie Berner, but I'm recommending to you that you would rescind that sale, and with the idea that we would work with Hurricane City. That's really a proposed roadway for them. It was a piece of property that surrounded on 3 sides a property owned by the Washington County School District, and it's access and roads around that parcel. Of course, you can do what you want with that. That's really the intention of the property. I've talked to Hurricane City about that, and it is in their plans as a roadway. So if you have any questions about any of those, I would be glad to discuss them with you, or you can just look at them and see if you know what you want to know.
Do we need a motion, do we take that action now?
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we rescind the tax sale number 168602. Do I also need to give the serial number? Or?
And then I'm also, in the motion, you'll approve the other sales or approve the other things I recommended.
Yeah, allowing this to be the ownership transferred to Hurricane City, and also approving the other sales listed.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries.
I just wanted to mention and tell Kim Hafen, thank you. Tax sales is always a hard thing to do for properties, but he goes to great lengths to contact the people, locate the people, work with the people, and I think that's the properties listed here. I mean, there was only one home in the whole thing, and he did contact that family, and they decided to abandon the home on it. So I just wanted to tell Kim thanks for all his hard work.
Yeah, how many properties did we start out with, Kim? There was a lot of them this year.
297.
Yeah.
297? So we ended up with 10, so there was a lot of work went in by his office and by Kim particularly, so yes, thank you. Okay, item number 6, consideration of ordinance.
We skipped one. Number 5.
Oh, okay, I saw Kim there, and Kim again, all right. Consideration of approval of the 2015 proposed certified tax rate, yeah. Gotta have that one done.
We do. I'll just say one more thing about the tax sale. It's the commission's always been their feeling that we want people to stay in their property. And so what I do with that is, because you all want people to keep those properties if it's at all possible. We want to collect the taxes, obviously, but we're anxious that, first of all, nobody loses a home, but if they want to keep property, that we make it available. There's ways they can do that if they really want to do that. So that really comes from the commission, so thanks for that. The next item here is the certified tax rates, and you have those in your packet. These are for the general fund tax rate, the county assessing and collecting, the library, and the debt service. And we prepare our budgets at the end of the previous year. We did 2015's budget, approved that last December. So, and obviously there was no tax increases in that budget, but the tax rates aren't exactly finalized until now, and they're finalized in preparation for disclosure notices that will be mailed, so people will have those on the 1st of August. So those amounts that are on there are what's just forced out by, essentially, property tax generates the same revenue year over year. The rates fluctuate a bit as valuations change, and this year valuations are up around 8%, and so in general, rates are down the corresponding amount so that the same revenue is generated year over year. Just for your information, in regards to the general fund rate, this tax rate for this year will be 0.000743, and last year it was 0.000779, so it's down a significant amount, mainly because values are up. So there's no change there was no tax increase included, although we do get a bit of a bump with new growth in the tax rate calculation. So if you have any questions about those rates, I'd be glad to talk to you about them.
No, I think that answers mine, but that is a concern. People, it takes a little while to understand that values go up, your taxes don't necessarily go up depending on what part of the county you're in. Some areas may go up higher in value and faster than other areas, and so you may see a little increase in your taxes if that's the case, and somebody else's may drop. But for the county, the other taxing entities, the amount that that we receive remains constant, so.
Typically, if your own property fluctuates up or down more than the average fluctuates, that's when you'll see your taxes go up or down. But if your property is the norm and fluctuates the same as the average does, essentially you'll pay the same tax dollar. Although that works in general terms, specifically there are ups and downs, obviously, as properties are evaluated a bit differently.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the certified tax rate as proposed by Kim Hafen.
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Okay, item number 6, consideration of ordinance number 2015-1050-0, an ordinance rezoning a certain portion of Washington County in Dameron Valley from OSC 20 to RE 40 zone. Scott?
Yeah, so there's some property that's just over 18 acres located kind of north of the intersection of Homestead Drive and Dameron Valley Farms Drive. And the owner is wanting to rezone that for a proposed several lot subdivision. And the Planning Commission heard the rezone request, and after holding a public hearing, they recommended approval of the request, and so it's before you at this time for your approval. So the request was to go to the residential estate 40,000 square foot lot subdivision.
Okay.
Well, very good. Given the fact that it was unanimously recommended to us, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2015-1050-0, an ordinance rezoning a certain portion of Washington County and Dameron Valley from OSC-20 to RE 40 zone.
Go ahead and second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, Scott, did anybody speak out against any of these?
No,
I don't think
we
so.
had an individual call on this one that we just talked about, and had some concerns and talked about them and invited them to come to the meeting, but they didn't come to the meeting.
Great.
Okay, item number 7, consideration of ordinance 2015-1051-0, an ordinance rezoning certain portions of Washington County adjacent to Silver Valley Estates subdivision near Leeds from the A-20 zone to the RA-1 zone.
So this property you may have become familiar with. We had some complaints about the property a couple months ago. Some residents in Leeds and Silver Valley Estates subdivision worried that there was mining going on the property. The individuals who own the property, it is just over 9 acres. They requested zone change, went to the Planning Commission. It was currently A20 zone. It was 9 acres, so it didn't even meet the requirements for the A20 zone. They were wanting to rezone it to RA, which is residential agricultural 1 acre. What they are hoping to do is to come forward with a several lot subdivision. It sounds like it'll be members of the family that owns it that will be developing those lots. Planning Commission hasn't seen any plans for that plat yet, but I imagine that'll be coming in the near future. The Planning Commission reviewed it, and we didn't have, it was unanimously approved, and so we bring it to you today.
No public comment on this one either?
There wasn't, no.
Okay.
I just have one quick question. It doesn't even really apply to this, but for septic out there, is that Ash Creek that approves their septic
Yeah,
system?
there are some issues with utilities that need to be worked out there.
Okay.
And those are things that they're having to work out to be able to get approval for the subdivision.
But we're still in the
Is
septic
Is that
system.
Ash Creek or the state public health that does septic tests?
Well, they do but it's Ash Creek.
It's
that
Ash
kind of
Creek.
Follows, it's a combination
Yeah.
of the two,
Yep.
but that's, okay.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2015-1051-0, rezoning a certain portion of Washington County adjacent to Silver Valley Estates subdivisions near Leeds from A20 zone to an RA-1 zone.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 8, consideration of resolution 2015-1909, a resolution reappointing members of the Washington County Library Board of Directors. And you have Michelle Mitchell and Marilyn Robinson, whose terms were up, and they both agreed to serve again. This was their first term. You can serve 2 terms on the library board, and so we have a resolution to reappoint them.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do it. Joe's not. Yeah, I'm on the library board, so I've worked with these 2 individuals, and they do a great job, so I'll be happy to make the motion for this one. So my motion is that we approve resolution number R-2015-1910, a resolution appointing and reappointing members to the Washington, I read the wrong one. Let me start again, I apologize. My motion is that we approve resolution number R-2015-1909, a resolution reappointing members of the Washington County Library Board, specifically Michelle Mitchell and Marilyn Richardson.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So they're both finishing their, starting their
First-
second term?
First term. This will
First
be
term.
starting their second term.
So how, is it a 4 or 2-year term? Okay, so
It's 4.
4-year.
it's 4-year altogether?
No, 4-year term. It's a 4-year term. Okay, item number 8. Oh, no, that's 8. Item number 9, resolution number 2015-1910, a resolution appointing and reappointing members to the Washington County Career Service Council. And we would be reappointing Larry Kermit and Brian Simonson. Brian had previously been an alternate, I think, hadn't he? Yes. And he'd be reappointed to a full member on that.
No, he'll still be an alternate under this.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have 2
It does-
alternates.
Okay, it doesn't say alternate by his name, though.
After it a little bit, it does.
Okay, all right.
So I haven't met these people, but Dean, I'm assuming they'll serve us well.
They have, and they are a great board, and fortunately, we use them very, very rarely. And it's done when we have people, employees, former employees who might be appealing termination decisions or anything else that would be taking away any of their rights. And so it's very infrequent that this board meets, but we're required to have it.
Very good.
Yeah, very necessary when we
We pay them a lot for it too. So. All right, well, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve resolution number 2015-1910, a resolution appointing and reappointing members to the Washington County Career Service Council. Gary Kermit, reappointment. Brian Simonson, reappointment as an alternate. Michelle Mitchell, appointed as an alternate member.
Go ahead and second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item number 10, resolution R-2015-1911, a resolution supporting the transfer of public lands to willing states and affirming the county's rights of association. To give a little background on this, we had a group from Washington, D.C., a new group funded a lot by some of the George Soros money that made, I don't know if appeal is the right word, that notified the AGs in Montana, Utah, and Arizona, wanting them to look at fraud charges for the transfer of public lands and the issues presented there. And their reasoning for that was that when the bill was the HB 148 was passed in 2012. One of the legal analysis person for the state legislature said there may potentially be a constitutional issue with it, in his opinion. And so because of that, they said to even discuss that was potential fraud. Even though the state legislature went ahead and passed the bill, the governor signed it, and there have been 2 separate white papers done on the bill showing the strength that it had. So this is merely a resolution to support that and to state the county's right that we have of, and not only right, but obligation for the health, safety, and welfare of the people of the county, and the ability to join with other counties as we lobby for things that are important to the residents. That would be including being members of the Utah Association of Counties, the National Association of Counties, our 5-county organization of governments we have here locally that we run the health department, and a number of other things jointly. We have an agreement with the 4 southern counties in Utah and Mojave County, Arizona, the Arizona-Utah Coalition, on efforts on the Arizona Strip to keep uranium mining going there. We're currently in a lawsuit there that's been in place for several years. I mean, there's just a number, Quad State, which includes Washington County, Mojave County, Arizona, Lincoln County, and Nye County in Nevada, and several California counties where we work together on desert tortoise issues. So it's very common for counties to be involved in issues like this. So this is merely a resolution supporting that.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I also support this, and I appreciate that you mentioned how important counties working together is as far as promoting public policy and protecting the interest of our citizens. And we do it in so many different groups and organizations, and it makes us much more effective working together. So I'd be more than happy to make this motion. I make a motion that we approve resolution number R-2015-1911, a resolution supporting the transfer of public lands to willing states and affirming counties' rights of association.
Go ahead and second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Item number 11, consideration of resolution R-2015-1912, a resolution in opposition to the designation of a Grand Canyon Watershed National Monument in northern Arizona due to concerns over the loss of multiple use of public lands in the area directly south of Washington County. And this again is an effort that we're involved in with the Utah-Arizona Coalition that I mentioned. There's some push by environmental groups to add another 1,000,000-something acres on the Arizona Strip as a national monument, basically to make sure that there's no uranium mining in the future, even though it's been withdrawn for a 20-year period. So anyway, ready for a motion?
Okay.
Yeah, well, just simply before we make this motion, it was not that long ago that Secretary Salazar withdrew the Arizona Strip for 20 years from uranium mining, even though it's one of the most safe operations as far as there's no water involved, the ore is the right temperature. But I can remember, because I was working with Senator Lee at the time, and I was reading some of the documents put out by some of the NGOs congratulating themselves on lobbying Mr. Salazar to do that. And I found it very concerning at that moment. They said this is the first step. The next step is to get the Arizona Strip put into a national monument. And I just think people need to recognize that, agree or disagree, no matter what your politics are on national monuments, it's a very poor way of managing public land, because basically it takes away people's rights to have input, and it creates kind of an unmanageable situation. So,
Okay. So I go ahead and make a motion that we approve resolution number R-2015-1912, a resolution in opposition to the designation of a Grand Canyon Watershed National Monument in northern Arizona due to concerns over the loss of multiple use of public lands in the area directly south of Washington County.
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Just one more little thought on that, most people are not aware, but we have some of the highest quality uranium in the United States, and a lot of it out on the Arizona Strip. It's located in small pockets and easily mined with no environmental impacts at all, and so it's really unfortunate that that's not available to us.
Commissioners, if I could backtrack for just a second, when we passed the resolution affirming the county's rights of association, I'd like it also made clear that you're approving the signing of a letter to the Attorney General's in rebuttal to that organization, and we wanted to have that approval as part of that resolution process.
Yes.
So should we?
Was that your understanding?
So you could go back and
Yeah.
amend that motion, I guess.
Because there's
Yeah. it's
actually
in the
got this letter on here. I think they've got listed separately.
Did it get listed separately? We were gonna combine them, so.
Well, no, the letter's not on the agenda. I guess it would be combined there. The other letter is on here. So we would make that addition to the.
It's your motion. You want to?
Yeah, I amend my motion to reflect that we are sending a letter to the Attorney General's Sean Reyes of Utah and Tim Fox of Montana and Mark Bronovich of Arizona, reflecting our support for American Lands Council and the transfer.
So I'll go ahead and second that amendment.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Dean. Okay, item 12, consideration of resolution R-20-1913, a resolution adding Hurricane City and its boundary to the Hurricane Valley Special Service District. Dean, do you want to address that one?
Certainly. For this past year, Hurricane City has been contracting for all of these services with the Hurricane Valley Fire Special Service District. The Hurricane Valley Fire Special Service District comprised LaVercan, Tokerville, Virgin, and a large area of the unincorporated county. We received a resolution from Hurricane City, basically, that was passed on May 21st, stating that since these services have been provided by the Hurricane Valley Fire Special Service District, and since the city of Hurricane is desirous of rejoining the aforementioned district, their resolution petitions the county commission to change the boundaries of the Hurricane Valley Fire Special District so that Hurricane City would once again be a part of the district. And so this would be the first step. It's a step that's very similar to the creation of a district. We have to create a new map and change tax valuations. You'll see the tax go down in Hurricane, and for Hurricane City, a line item coming up for the Hurricane Valley Fire Special Service District. It's going to be, I think, mostly revenue neutral. But anyway, that is Hurricane City's desire, and as a board member of the Hurricane Valley Fire Special Service District, we would welcome Hurricane coming back on as a full-fledged member of the district.
Okay. Ready for a motion?
Well, we'll welcome them back on too, so, even though they never technically left, but we'll give them an official welcoming back.
Want to point out too that the Hurricane City Council also passed a resolution specifically requiring this action to occur.
Requesting it, absolutely. Mr. Chairman, I make a resolution R-2015-1913, a resolution adding Hurricane City and its boundary to the Hurricane Valley Fire Special Service District.
Go ahead and second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, we also had a letter here that would, probably should have been passed at the same time we did the resolution on the watershed monument, on a letter to BLM on some water sampling for Willow Spring. It would be in that same area.
Does that need to be I think that's just the letter, isn't it?
Well, it's signed, I think. Did we put it in?
I think we
need
just
a
handle that
motion on
under
that.
commission business, and so.
Oh, okay.
So you can, as you guys, obviously as commissioners, you guys can always send out a letter from an individual basis. If you're ever wanting to solidify a statement into saying this is an official county position or an official county act, you can adopt that and send it out. Especially, I mean, obviously when you're gonna do that, you can send it out under all three of your signatures. It just makes sure that when you do that, you're making it the official county, it's in line with county policy is what you're saying, and establishing county policy so that other county departments are aware of that and are following that.
Just what we're talking about up here, just to explain to everybody, is we got a notice from the U.S. Geological Survey and the BLM saying that they're going to do testing out on the Willow Springs in Hat Canyon. That's on the drainage side of Kanab Creek, and we're just specifically asking why they're doing the testing, what it's about. And so we sent out a letter saying, we're going to be sending out a letter saying, hey, why are you doing the testing? Is this in part of a bigger project? What, just basically asking for more information. And so that's what we're referring to. And if anybody want to look at it, I'll just leave it up here for you to look at. So I don't think we need a motion. I don't think it has, this
Yeah,
letter doesn't
okay.
have anything to do with the resolution that we passed earlier. But if council
So-
says otherwise,
I think you're fine either way on this type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, Commissioners report, either of you have?
Let's see, I just had a couple items. Attended what's called USIP, Utah Indemnity Pool, our summer meeting. Just a couple items. I don't know if the other two commissioners are aware they're now in our Utah Association of Counties building, so it's more convenient for us. There's also the possibility, even though we have very good rates, there's a possibility because of our reserves being down that we probably will see an increase in the next year. Of course, we've had our own fault in that with both fire and flood in our county, and they were very responsible to cover us. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to bring that up. There was also some discussion about reimbursement of legal fees on a couple commissioners' issues, and they referred that to our litigation team. And then the second item was just that Southwest Public Health that we participate in just barely saved the county from a pandemic flu. So we did our drill and practice. And I'll just say this, Pete's not here, is he? So anyway, Pete was there at our table, and the mayor was also there with me. And anyway, we're all playing our different roles in different rooms. And of course, it was great to have Pete there helping us out as our emergency director. But then I think they were conducting the exercise. They figured that Pete was giving us too much information. So they come in and said, Pete, we're sorry, you've had the flu. You have to pull out. So he couldn't help us anymore. And so we had to start making decisions on our own. We had to start working harder. But anyway, it just made me, first of all, appreciate the emergency preparation that we have in this county. And I always have had a lot of confidence in our county employees, but it's always great to be there and see them excel at that level. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Hey, Public Works, Ron.
Just a couple of quick updates. Our road crews are out finishing up work on some of the roads out in the outer areas of the county that we've been a little slow to get to because we've been working on other stuff, but they are working on roads that lead out into the forest and out into BLM now that haven't been graded or had a lot of attention for a few years, and getting them back into shape. And as soon as we're through with that in the next week or two, we will be moving in and starting our chip seal project. So I just want to remind everybody, when you see that equipment, if you're going down that dirt road, make sure that equipment sees you with eye contact before you try and go around them. And when you get into our chip seal areas, make sure the equipment is not going to stop and back up at you, and you go slow through the chip seal areas too. So we appreciate the public's help as they go out in the outer areas watching as they go through our construction zones. That's all I've got right now, unless you have any questions. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, appreciate you, Mark.
Okay, Bob. Does Bob have anything from
We
HCP?
skipped
Oh, I got
Scott.
county planning. Yep, Scott was up here once.
Just quickly say we've been busy lately with a lot of lot line adjustments and small lot splits. There seems to be a lot of things like that happening. We have had inquiries about and people interested in doing larger development. It seems like the real thing that is holding back development in the county tends to be our septic and sewer issues, and I imagine as those problems get worked out, that we'll see growth explode. Also thrilled to have Natalie, new attorney, on board. We have some projects that we'll work on trying to make some updates to the county ordinances, and we'll be back before you in the future with those. Thanks.
Thanks. Yes, we neglected to make mention of that. So this is what, your second day? Well, I'm glad to have you here.
Commission, I don't have a whole lot, but just wanted to kind of update you on the fact that we continue to work with our federal and state partners and others involved in the HCP to try to acquire the in-holdings. And I've had some recent communication with the state Division of Wildlife Resources. So they have actually closed on the Middleton parcel, the 11.4 acres that was owned by the Virgin River Land Preservation Association. So that title has actually transferred. I'm not sure that they've actually got it recorded with the county yet, but that closed last week. And also 90 acres of Sitla property above Green Springs has been closed on, and the funds have transferred, but they have not got that recorded with the county as well. But that we're at the 11th hour, so that's going to go forward. So those two acquisitions have transpired. The other thing that we continue to work on is a grant that we received from the State Trails Committee, which is for some work at Confluence Park, which is not really part of the HCP or the reserve, but since the county expended other species money to help purchase that property, there's a direct tie with that property. So we're working, Hurricane has built a restroom facility. They've got the walls up. I don't know I haven't been over there today, so I don't know if they've got their roof on and everything, but so that Main Street Trailhead facility is taking shape and should be finalized here the next couple of months. So that'll be a good addition for the public to be able to access the Hurricane side of Confluence Park.
Good.
Any
Great.
questions?
Thank you.
I appreciate that. That's where my kids spend their summers.
Okay, does anybody have anything
No.
further? All right, we will stand adjourned.
Thanks.